Looks like it's saying it's preparing to live stream to the meeting.
Oh, meeting is being live streamed.
Can you see it on your phone?
No.
Okay, here it comes.
Okay.
I think we're live.
We're live. We're live. It's on there.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are live. We don't have our background, but you know what? Let's just go with it.
Yeah. It's our first live. Welcome to the I Don't Like Murder podcast. We are running live for the first time, so excuse our lack of knowing what we're doing. Rita, can you hear me? Rita's never been this quiet in her life.
Color me surprised. Number one, can you hear me? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, color me surprised. Number one, we're live. Number two, I know, but there's a delay in that. Yes.
Okay.
There's a huge delay. So I've got to fix this delay.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now without the delay? Okay. So that was because in the browser I had the screen open, so it was backing us up. Okay. So we're live. Let me just triple check with our friend who I said, see if you can see us live now. And heaven help and apologize to everyone who is probably getting lots of notification as we turn it off and turn it on. Try now. And welcome to live streaming, and welcome to live streaming with very low technical skills. But Jenny, are you on mute? No, Jenny's just laughing. Jenny's laughing because we've tried this many, many times, and we were all set to go on Tuesday. Everything was done, and then the camera wouldn't talk to. There's an application for live streaming, of course. There's YouTube, there's Zoom, there's lots of stuff. So, just we're checking one more thing to see if number one, we can be heard, if we can be seen. It looks like, based on what Jenny's looking at, that we can be heard and be seen. Right now, I only have one screen up. If we were doing this, I'll be better next time. But I have a second screen the fact that we've got this far is huge. But let me introduce myself. My name is Rita. I am one of the co-hosts of I Don't Like Murder. This is my co-host, Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hi.
We are 37 minutes into our live stream when we started because technical things. So I'm taking it as a win. If people can yep, I can see and hear you now. Cool. Yay, Jenny, we did it.
Hey.
We did it. So I Don't Like Murder is a podcast where we talk about different cases. A lot of them are about murder. A lot of them, it's in the crime genre. But we kind of delve in a little bit deeper because we're really interested and we have questions about just the legal process, about why some sentences seem fair in some places and unfair in others. And so we've uncovered a lot of cases that are interesting, small town cases, big city cases. And so we just wanted to, Jenny and I are really interested in the crime genre. I think we've uploaded 10 videos in the last year. We can sit and talk quite a bit about different, we create content. So we sit there and I said, why don't we just go live stream? Everyone's live streaming. We love live streaming. And then it's just been a journey to get here. So we're running two different channels. We have the I Don't Like Murder channel, and then Jenny and I created a business called Intricate Energy, which I was uploading the videos to both. The Intricate Energy has actually had more views on the video than I Don't Like Murder, but I Don't Like Murder is apropos to be the live stream site since that's about the show. But I'm excited. I don't have the background. I still have to work on the background that I worked on for days to make sure it works. But it's okay because here we are. So again, I am Rita. This is Jenny. Jenny's going to talk about a case that's in the news right now. It's a pretty terrible case. And then I'm going to update you guys on 2 cases that I've covered and just there's been some updates in the last 3 weeks on the Hannah Payne and the Scott Peterson appeal. And then, of course, just the Hannah Payne case from 2019 that has been going very slowly through the courts. So, Jenny, I've talked, as you know, as Jenny said at the very beginning, I've never seen Rita not talk. I got right over the fact, part of it was just shocked that we did it. So yay,
that was the funniest part of this whole show.
I'll tell you, since it's just you and me talking with one follower who's just our sound check friend, but the very first, when Jenny and I became friends and we were talking on the phone, I said, we were doing Zooms, and we are at a 3-hour time difference. I'm 3 hours earlier than her. And one night she goes, oh my gosh, Rita, we actually talked for 5 hours. And it was 9 o'clock my time, but midnight her time. And I said, I got another 2 or 3 more hours. She said, there's no way in the world that you could talk for 5 hours. I said, actually, yeah, piece of cake, right, Jenny? So after Jenny's like, can I just get a word in edgewise? Because I got to go. No. So anyway, here is Jenny, my lovely co-host. And Jenny, tell us about your case.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the Shanquella Robinson case. It is, I don't know if it's on the news so much, but it's very YouTube famous right now.
Newsflash, Jenny's getting over a really nasty chest cold, I think she had. So, Of course, this would be a great night to live stream and talk, which brings it up, but I'll drink warm tea. I know. Excuse the coughing.
So back in October, Shanquella, 25-year-old woman from Texas, went to Cabo, Mexico with 6 of her friends to celebrate one of their birthdays. So they took a birthday trip. They rented this beautiful villa that I've seen pictures of. It's gorgeous. So while she was there, less than a day after her being there, she ended up dead. The staff for the house found her body. Her friends had told her mom that she was drinking too much and she died of alcohol poisoning. When the autopsy report finally came out forever later, weeks later, she had injuries to her spine and her neck. Sorry. So then a short time after that, a video surfaced of one of the people she was on the trip with beating her. The video's out there. I've watched the majority of it. I will say, don't watch it. It's really gruesome. Unless you can handle it, like, be warned, it's terrible. Definitely, these people, in my opinion, were not really her friends for multiple reasons. I mean, one of them allegedly, most likely, beat her to death less than a day after they went. To me, that's one of the things that, did you go at any of them? Because I don't know the situation, but there had to be tension there for it to get to that point. At least I'm assuming. And I watched today a video that you could hear the guys commentating on the fight, they called it. But
is he the one who's standing in front of the stairs and he was saying this is what happened? Was that the guy?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't think. Not well. I don't know. It could be because I don't know what guy you're talking about. But they they were commentating on like, oh, Shinquella, you need to fight back. Are you just gonna let her do this? And like and I don't know. As far as I know, the autopsy report didn't show any huge levels of alcohol or drugs in her system. So I don't know that that was a factor. To me, without knowing that for sure, because like the information that's out there, like it's hard to get. And also everybody that is investigating is from Mexico. So you don't know what translations are mistranslated. You don't know what, like there's all kinds of things that could happen dealing with multiple different countries. So, I guess in the end we'll find out. But yeah. Dang it.
Poor thing.
So currently Mexico is investigating this as a femicide, and they have issued arrest warrants. There is rumors going around saying that somebody has been arrested. From the information I've seen, no one's actually been arrested yet. As of this afternoon when I was researching, this could change at any minute now, but currently the rumor is that Dejanay Jackson, the one who is allegedly the one in the video beating her, is at least one of the people that the arrest warrant has been issued for. All 6 people that were there have had their passports revoked, or can't, like, what I don't know if revoked is the right word, but they currently cannot travel outside of the US. They're all, so they may all have arrest warrants. I don't know. Again, it's hard to get real information about this. But I feel it's terrible. I feel bad for her family. Everybody has said like she's an amazing person. She's really nice. She's really caring. And like, I don't know. I feel like there had to be tension though at some point, or I mean, I don't know how you just beat somebody to death. And to me, that wasn't, I mean, I guess I don't play with my friends like that. I'm not going to beat the shit out of someone, and I'm not going to let somebody beat the shit out of me like that. If that's what you're doing, we're not going to be around each other. That's just
right.
no.
And I think too is that people forget, even though Mexico is a border country to the United States, and because me living in California, we can cross at any time, right? But it's a different country, different laws, different rules.
Yeah.
But it's still, and so sometimes you just don't know. That's why if they've ever driven into Mexico, you'll see big signs saying you better be insured. And it doesn't say it's a whole different world, but you can't all of a sudden say, I'm a U.S. citizen. You have to know the laws.
Yeah.
And the U.S. can't come back and say, we're going to save you if you break the laws. But the whole thing of once they got the autopsy, and within 24 hours of getting there, she has a broken neck. I think that's what part of it was. And then just to think about what it would take if someone was beaten to that degree. It wasn't a tussle or a fight. Somebody was just really pounding, I would guess.
Yeah, she was. And I think, I don't know for sure, but at one point she like rips her head and like throws her, and she hits a dresser like back there. So I'm assuming that's when her neck broke.
Probably.
But she just like yanked her into that dresser and flipped her around.
I read on something because we don't have access, right? So everything is in translation, and It happened a while back. It wasn't just last week. Wasn't this in October?
It was the end of October.
Right. So it's taken a long time and I think it was attributed to her mother saying something's not right, something's not right, something's not right, because it was just this week that the Mexico's district attorney said, yes, we're going to be filing charges, or they did. But what I read, don't know if it's true or not, but what I read is that they had come home. She was still there, like her body was still there.
Yeah, they left her body.
That to me was like, and of course it's all kind of like just opinion and bias to say, could you leave your friend?
Yeah,
that was wild.
And I saw her mom say that they left her body there, so I take that as credible if her mom is saying that.
Right. Or if you came home early.
Yeah.
Right. I get, because they just got there. But yeah, there's still a lot to unfold. But that's one time where I think social media and people yelling and screaming about it, because it really hasn't been in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
I'm only seeing it on what I read on not mainstream like vlogs, or I see it on video.
Yeah, I don't really watch any mainstream media, so I don't know what is or isn't on there. But
right. But like you on social media, like Twitter, Facebook, the NBC News is there, ABC News is there. You're not really seeing a lot.
Yeah.
About Just I've just seen it in the last week of seeing her name, because it's a very distinct name, and then seeing interviews with her mother from local TV.
Yeah, I've only seen local channels cover it.
Yeah, but then what's going to be interesting is it's a completely different country.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing about and I read about it, and I don't know if it's true in terms of, are they being extradited for real? Because that's an agreement between the United States. So
I don't think we have the real info on that right now. I mean, that I would like to think that the United States would extradite them given the circumstances, but who knows? And I know the FBI is also investigating, so it might partially be that might be sorry. that might have to do with their investigation, what their findings are.
Right.
In my eye, I apologize. My God, this is the worst live ever.
Can't be. It's our first one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have this really faded light, but for whatever reason, the way the world is looking at me right now, it's like I'm standing in front of the sun. So it's the worst of everything. But my hair looks good. I'm having a good hair day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's still developing, so I think we will probably revisit soon in one of our future lives, because that's right now there's so much like fiction versus fact, like what's really going on, and we don't really have too many answers really. But I'm happy to see that Mexico is investigating and they have issued warrants, so that who knows what's going to happen with that, but that definitely is a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Very painful. I definitely can't watch the video. Definitely. No. And because to me, I get a little judgy Judgerson to say, I was with all of my friends and there's a video. Somebody's inside videotaping someone getting beaten. I don't know. I don't understand that part. To
me, the worst part is there were at least two guys standing there. One was recording and one was standing there. One of them was giving commentary. I don't know which one, if it was a woman recording or not. Regardless, there were two men standing there watching a woman beat another woman to death.
See, and maybe it's one of those things that it was tussling and whacking each other and acting ridiculous, right? But nobody ever thought that the way she landed, that you'd hit up against the dresser, because that probably changed everything.
Well, yes, but from what I saw, it's pretty one-sided. Like she was in bed and the other girl came and like got her out of bed and started beating her. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I mean, I think that there were hits thrown both ways, but it was definitely a one-sided fight. It was by no means a fair fight. And the fact that they're sitting there commentating on it, like,
but again,
I don't
and
know.
like we talked, right.
I mean, I think you can kind of tell between play fighting and then this. Like, it was a different level, in my opinion.
Right, and that's what is so interesting about why we talk about all the different cases, is because you have your bias that you see to go, who's taking a picture of somebody beating somebody up? That's not okay. Yeah. And then, but what I imagine is that group is being closely monitored. Everybody who was in that room.
Yeah.
And some of the story is going to come out, because I was thinking the fact that the tape got leaked, it was someone's conscience.
Yeah.
You know, or he'd say, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Don't look at me. Somebody was somebody else. So, but it's that weird thing, like when you see something, just like you watch crime shows, you know, it's like, it was the spouse who did it. It was the kids, you know, who wanted the insurance policy. You know, you can always figure it out in the beginning, just thinking all those thoughts, just like the cases, I mean, I'm about to talk about, because that it's the cases that we talk about, some are more popular because they're in, you know, the social media sphere, or big, huge cases that had national attention. And then a lot of the cases are cases that hardly anyone talks about, because what we're finding out within 50-mile radius of me, there's a lot of murdery stuff going on. So,
yeah. Yes,
I just saw a case last night by someone I follow that is a town about 40 miles from me. And in the 90s, there was this huge kidnap. These couples were, you know, intruded upon in the middle of the night. They were drugged. The girl was taken, and then she just ended up showing up in Northern California. All this big thing, and the police said it was a hoax, just tortured the couples, and saying they were going to be incriminated because the story was so outlandish. 8 months later, it happens again in a town 2 towns over from me. They catch the guy.
Wow.
They catch the guy, and it was true. So it's like that. Now, nobody was murdered, but she was kidnapped and she was abused.
Yeah.
But I'm so thinking, maybe California is weird. I don't know. But that's what started the whole thing, is that having the conversation in my town, growing up as a little kid, hearing about a murder that was just so outrageous, because the person who murdered his wife was a fine, upstanding citizen in the town. He was a church deacon, and there would be no signs that this guy was going to do what he did. Then he admitted it, and then of course he keeps getting denied parole because he's been a model citizen. So it's all the things about cases that go, this guy's done everything right in prison, got a bunch of degrees, helped counsel people, done everything he's supposed to do, and the parole board said, that's the problem. We didn't see you coming the first time around. So those cases are just really interesting how they're adjudicated, because we think, okay, well, if you go to prison and you do all the right things, you probably, you could get some time shaved off. I got some guy in the town that I grew up in, he probably isn't ever getting out. So, but just taking these cases apart.
So
Beat his wife, yeah. And the hard part, and this is where hopefully we'll get to the point where we're going to have some guests on that can help a little bit more understand the legal process, and then we can have more access as lay people or non-legal people to some of the documents. So to see, because some cases, especially old cases, they tend to go into microfiche, if you even know what that is, because you're younger than me, but they're not easily accessible, or just the records. If there's a crime in the early 80s, so like the last thing I can find on the gentleman or the man in my town that murdered his wife was in the mid 90s. So But we did get a hit. Somebody did write on notes saying that she actually knew somebody who knew him.
Yeah.
So we'll pursue that. But
Yeah.
But is there any more about your case? You'll just be keep us updated on it.
Yeah, we'll keep updated. I have a couple of quick updates about cases I've done before. So in August, Yasser Syed, the father who, it was actually the last video we posted, the Syed sisters, their father back in August had his trial and he did get convicted of capital murder. They did not seek the death penalty, so he did get life in prison. He's still claimed in court that he did not murder them. To me, this is not, it's basically as bad. He thought that someone was following him to kill him. So his story is that he left the girls with the cab and was like, here, you know how to drive. Here's the car, do whatever you want. You left them as targets so you don't get killed? Like that, you know, either way you killed your daughters, whether you did it like purposely, you were the one that pulled the trigger, or if you left them as sitting targets.
Right.
Which I don't believe. I believe he killed them, I'm pretty sure. His ex-wife, Patricia, the girl's mom, she took the stand. They had, I think, 20 witnesses. She took the stand. She said that he did convince her to come back home with the girls, but she didn't believe anything would happen to them. So I don't know. I don't necessarily believe her on that. But also, I know we talked about this a lot in the episode, but I don't know if it's like because she was so young when they got together, like if she was just manipulated, and like I'm sure she was, but I don't know if that played a part or not in her, whether she believed or didn't believe, you know, I don't know. I feel like there was probably a lot of mental abuse there, so I don't necessarily want to blame her because of that reason, but also I feel like she was partially responsible. So either way, a really messed up case, And those girls were teenagers when they died, and they would be in their 30s now. Wow. So that's, crazy. And then my other update is on Bridget Harris. And this is kind of a good one. She's been out of prison for quite a while, but she is starting a food truck, and she does have a GoFundMe set up to help her get that started. So I wanted to encourage everyone to go donate to her GoFundMe so she can get her food truck started, so she can, you know, pursue the life that she should have. I'll post a link in the comments when we're done. But she has posted, she's posted some updates, like she's gotten certain permits and stuff, and like, you know, she's gotten some of that stuff done. So you can see on her page where she's updated the things that she's doing with the money. And it is going to be Liberian food, which is the African country she's from. So that's kind of cool that she's gonna go to her roots and do Liberian food. And it is going to be in New York. So cool. But that's a really happy for me. Like she's, you know, moving on with her life and doing something very positive. And also her doing food also connects with me because for obvious reasons. All right, Rita, take it away, and hopefully I'll stop coughing.
Well, good, Jenny. And I just want to reiterate, Bridget Harris was the case of a woman who was abused by her father her whole life. And then when she saw it happening to her sister's daughters, his grandchildren, she hurt him and he bled to death. And so she went on trial for his murder. She didn't intend to kill him. She just wanted to make sure that he could never do it again. And so, but she had, I think she spent 10 years, did she spend 12 years in prison and then just remaking her life? But that's another case where there's so much nuance and layers to it of, you know, and how we talk about, you know, I don't want to make Jenny yell because she yelled at me last time. Because
he's not a victim.
I know, exactly. I just was saying that technically in the eyes of the law, he would be the victim because she's being indicted for his murder.
See, in my opinion,
here we go.
In my opinion, it's black and white, and
right. But
sorry,
I know, and I think I said, but in a nice society, right? In a society, just like, wow, you hurt children. That's it. So, but that case that I didn't, but I just wanted to. It was a really good case, but it's also for me trying to be very Libra and very balanced, and Jenny being Aquarian, who's very balanced, but she's not going to hold back. So we're the yin and yang. I'm like, well, let's look at it from both sides. There's no both sides. But that's
no,
right.
not with that.
Not with that. No, I know. It would probably never be a monetized video, was what she said about. I forgot. But anyway, I won't ever forget that case. So, that's what's interesting. It's just not kind of telling the story, and this is really another key part of what we're about. It's not just telling the story of the crime, and like I told Jenny in the beginning, is that the story is always told by the survivor of the event. So the murderer usually tells the story. It's going to be told in the best light to defend him or herself. So the minute that person is murdered and can no longer speak, then it's all about putting the pieces together, of course, for law enforcement. But then, but it's trying to put it all together and trying to understand, and hence where the name comes from is we don't like murder, but trying to understand what gets people to that level of, just like the Bridget Harris cases. She just wanted to make sure he could never
molest,
hurt another woman again. And in doing that, he bled to death. And so that was, in that moment in time, she chose to literally take the law into her own hands. She did. She took the law into her own hands. That's not literally, it wasn't figuratively taking the law. Just she took the law into her own hands instead of saying something's happening here and calling the police. But because of the way she was raised, there was really never an out for her. There's never a place where she would go, and he was always going to be there. And then when she saw the next generation, that's where she went. But she did have a lot of support. She still did 10 years of time, and now, so it is good that I don't think you can ever move on from that, because she'll always have that. She'll have that experience. And but in terms of saying I can make something of my life, and that whole entire experience doesn't define her. She can go out and do something, create a business, be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm super happy for her. I don't think that one moment should define her. My opinion, she did what was right in the situation, and she shouldn't feel bad about that. She shouldn't have any regrets. She should be happy. She should be able to live her life. And to be fair, how many little kids did she save from going through the same thing that she did?
Right.
Yeah. So go support her.
Yay. Okay, so the next two cases, I did two different shows, one about the Hannah Payne case, which is currently in the system, and there's a small update from November. I'll start with that one, then we'll do an update on Scott Peterson, because he's in the process. There was supposed to be a case, actually a court case tomorrow for the response from the judge for his appeal. So I've got a little info here. But to give a quick recap, Hannah Payne is the young woman. She was 21 in 2019. She was this young woman who saw an accident and then decided to follow. So a gentleman gets into an accident, like a fender bender. He seems disoriented. He gets back in his car and he drives away. And even though the police officers were there saying, everybody just stay still, she jumped out of her car and was a witness, and she called 911, and she kept her connection with 911 throughout this whole incident, but she ends up following the car that the gentleman drove off on. She blocks him in on a street, on a very busy street. She gets out, she gets out of her car, goes to his window, starts trying to get him out of the car, yelling and screaming. He gets out of the car, and witnesses say almost just to get away from her. There is a tussle, a gun goes off, her gun, and the man is dead. So when everything has been slowly taken apart, it looked, the witnesses had said he looked disoriented. The wife said he was a diabetic and he could have been a low blood sugar thing. He was trying to get to the hospital. And for anyone who's had anybody who's experienced a low blood sugar, they're conscious, but they're out of it, like in a daze. That's what resonated with me to go, I could totally see that. I have family members who have gotten in fender benders because they kind of momentarily passed out. But the thing that drew my attention to the case was you try to put yourself in the shoes. I've seen fender benders before. I've also seen people, car broke down on the side of the road, and I've seen thousands of people drive right by them. But the fact that she pulled over, called 911, went to the car, and then even though the 911 operator and the police officer around the scene is saying, don't worry, we've got enough information, she decides to get back in her car and follow this guy. And so I think I titled the video Vigilante Justice, something like that. I forgot what exactly the name of the title is. So the thing that's interesting is I don't understand that. And that's what I wanted. That's what intrigued me. Horrific that man died. And that I don't understand what would compel someone and then to get a gun out of your car and go, this is a fender bender, and I'm going to chase you down and then try and pull you out of the car, because all the witness statements, yikes, were saying this woman was just trying to pull this guy out of the car. But I'm thinking, when I'm hearing the story, going, when did you get the gun, for God's sake? What? It's just so escalated. Thinking, how does a 21-year-old get there? And I don't know the answer. Everything would just be speculation and opinion. But here's the latest update. They've been trying to get this to go to trial. There's been a ton of delays. Of course, COVID hit a big delay, but there's, and I think it's the 14th of November, they were ready to go to trial, because they're to that point. It was scheduled November 14th for the jury trial. And a couple days before, I think the week before, when they had to go present something in a case, and it's not exactly sure, but her attorney called out saying the attorney was in the hospital with a stroke. The judge didn't quite believe it, filed a contempt case. It says it's been delayed. Yeah, it was updated. Yeah, delayed according to the court. Trial has reportedly been delayed because Kane's attorney had a stroke over the weekend. However, the judge in the case expressed doubt and charged the attorney with contempt of court.
Wow.
So there's something's going on behind the scenes that, we're between motions, or maybe some of the delays. Maybe there's been some excuses going on, but it's what is happening? And I don't know. I've been trying to follow it. It's really, really only been in their local papers, but I don't know if it's going to be a live stream. I don't know. And that's kind of the string I'm trying to pull. The string I'm trying to pull is like, is this case going to be live streamed? If not, who's going to be covering it? And I'm trying to find, there's only a couple local newspapers, and there are a couple people that are doing it as a blog, but everyone is just reporting the same thing. And again, now I'm just talking to Jenny's name. I hope she's okay. But so it's the hidden pig. So I'm hoping, and I'm honestly, I don't know what the judge knows that we don't know. But if the attorney had a stroke and also got contempt for it, my guess and my speculation is there's some shenanigans going on, but I can't prove that. So the next thing, and don't know where Jenny went. Hopefully she's okay with her cough, but I could just keep talking. I could talk to myself. I'm happy as a clam to do that. The next case is a Scott Peterson case. And for everybody who has been alive in the last 20 years, Scott Peterson was convicted and put on death row for a short time for the murder of his wife at the time, Lacey Peterson. It was national news for a very long time. And again, in my backyard, it was pretty much in a town 35 miles away from here. And it encompassed quite a bit of what they call the East Bay or the Central Valley and the Bay Area, where he was, and she ended up, and the baby ended up surfacing. And so it was an interesting case to be. So when you live in an area that is the kind of the center point for a national news story with everybody and their brother out and about, it's just odd. You see it on the national news, of course it's on the local news, but you recognize names and you think, oh my gosh, there's news trucks everywhere in these key places. But so he was convicted, and it was all over. They had court TV, of course, and it was just, I remember seeing it all over, and it was just, whether it was National Enquirer, national news, everyone knew about this case, and it had all of the elements of the beautiful wife, 8.5 months pregnant, the family desperate, and everyone out looking for her, and then a lot of circumstantial evidence, but then the girlfriend who didn't know about the wife, and he just turned out to be a bad guy. But so in 2020, the California Supreme Court turned back his death penalty based on some error in the court, but upheld his conviction lifetime without parole. But here's the interesting part, and this is what I remember just seeing it on the local news all the time, because you got your national news, but local news kind of have longer segments, and then you've got local news all day long and major channels because it's the San Francisco Bay Area. But after just like any major trial, there's a lot of attention, and either people are writing books and news people are writing books. I remember a lot of when I saw cable people who were lawyers or previous judges, and they were experts and everything, they were out writing books about it. It just seemed like everyone was making money off this murder, because that's what content is. It's an advertiser heaven. But what was very interesting to me is that after the case and the jurors came out, because they all came out after they decided the case, and a lot of them jibber jabbered quite a bit. They did their own, but there was one juror in particular who was on the news all the time, doing interviews all the time. And so what I found interesting when, I forgot how many months ago it was, but I found interesting when it was, you know what, the Court of Appeals are saying, we're gonna hear this case because of these things that were said. Well, this appeals process, of course, can take a very long time in our system, but this one juror that was jibber jabbering all over about insane things about, we wanted to do it for Lacey, and we wanted to do it, and she's, because that's kind of the feeling the world seemed to want him to pay for the horror that he did. Well, I guess the appeals process, the attorneys working on behalf of Scott Peterson, they're going to look at everything with a fine-tooth comb. And she, when she filled out her juror questionnaire, she had inadvertently answered one of the questions, where it came out that afterwards, when she was talking to everybody, she wasn't completely clear, or she said that she answered a question in such a way that she made a mistake. Well, but it's where the appeals court said, you know what, we might want to be able to hear that. So so that judge said, we're going to make a decision on it. Instead of just saying, no, we're going to pass on it, we're going to make a decision. We'll have it by December. But what was interesting today is he was scheduled to go tomorrow to the San Mateo Superior Court and it was a hearing whether his murder conviction would be overturned. That's how big this is. And so, but the hearing was to be broadcast here on live television, was vacated in an order by the judge, and the order said she'll instead write a written ruling only. So that's interesting. So it vacated her previous order to transfer Peterson from prison to the San Mateo County Jail so he could be present. Instead, he will remain in prison and await word from his attorneys. And it says, it didn't give an explanation, nor did it say when the written ruling would be issued, other than it will be before the December 16 deadline. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's an example, of course, our judicial system, for good and for bad, can go slow for many reasons. And it does give lots and lots of, well, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of motions and a lot of fairness to the defendant and a lot of discovery, just all these different things, because it's going to, everyone has a right to be defended and to know, and just that's why I'm looking forward to the day where we can have a bit of a legal expert that can just go, why? And because that's what's so interesting and confusing, but you hear a motion is for this. I love watching the legal stuff on YouTube, because I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because so I'm going to file a motion about this. I don't agree with this. And then the other side's got 30 days to respond. And then there's more cases they bring up. So it's all these things because that's how laws are made, that they keep going, well, my interpretation of the law means this. So my defendant, you should do this. And but that just can take time. And I'm already boring Jenny with the story, but it's just interesting to say, Scott Peach, look, pretty much death penalty, gets death penalty upended. And then based on what a juror says afterwards, and then what she checked off, because there's some things you can't look prejudice in. You can't say, listen, this is a case about people who don't like kittens. And so, do you like kittens? And you might not like kittens. But if you put on there, oh, I'm really neutral towards kittens, and then they find out, wait, you never liked kittens in the first place. You can't do that, right? You have to be. I got called for a case it was a terrible case, the murder trial, and it had to do with and dogs were hurt. And part of the questionnaire was, do you have any, do you know these people? And I did. I knew like different veterinarians. And did I know of certain, emergency where the dogs would go for emergency? Like, I happen to know that. They're like, next, thank you very much. Because they, because when they do that, the voir dire and the striking, or whatever it's called to go.
Yeah.
So they could say, oh, I don't think somebody who spent so many years in the pet world would think too kindly of somebody who hurt a dog, right?
No.
So the fact that that much about where the dog would go for the emergency, thank you very much. But I was happy, because honestly, it was a pretty gruesome trial.
Yeah.
And I want to do more. Yeah, I'll do more. Like, I don't want to see the gross stuff, so that's why I wouldn't be good. But Jenny, so live streaming is not terrible. It's probably easier if you don't have a cough. It's actually, so we'll do a breakdown right here live, right? To go. The difference is it does add a little bit more adrenaline to it. But and also you just get, because before we'll just edit that out. We're not editing. We're not, because it's live. But we're going to try and do it weekly. We're going to try and do it every Tuesday evening. Yeah. It's going to be, the idea is 6 p.m. Eastern time, or 7, Jenny? I forget.
6, yeah.
Okay. Going to try to do every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'll constantly look like I'm in the sun. Unless we do it. But yeah, and then of course we'll have. Hopefully, we'll see the replay once I figure out what's just going. But and then hopefully we'll have a background because I've got some fancy stuff. You just can't see it yet, so it gives me a week to do it. But next week we'll have probably 2 more cases. We most likely, that's what we like to do, is we've got a couple cases. Don't want to spend a lot of time. Once we have someone following us and have a conversation, and I have my second screen up, we could actually have more interaction with everyone. But thank you so much. Jenny, did you want to say anything before we go?
I will try not to be coughing in your ears all week or all the whole time next week. So yeah, this is fun. I look forward to growing this and being able to interact with people.
Yay. Okay, everyone, I Don't Like Murder. You can also, we've got 10 other videos. This will be our 11th. But follow us on this journey. If you want to bring cases to our attention, some, maybe not so mainstream cases, but little hometown murders that we could look into, be more than interested. We've got a whole list of them. And again, I laugh because I just have to do 50-mile radius from my zip code. And every once in a while I'll text Jenny to go, getting a little nervous here. Thought we were in like Safe World USA here. But thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on our first live stream. We'll see you next week. Bye, Jenny.